It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we are zooming in and focusing in where I apologize. The video cut off when we were talking about how to understand psychopathic doublespeak, how they twist and distort the words, the meanings, the presentation of things, and then cause or try to draw another individual into thinking the way that they do. So in other words, changing your thought patterns, changing your emotional patterns, changing the emotional connection or derivative that you will take from something. In other words, distort the meaning. And before we get started, once again, I just want to give a huge shout out once again to those of you who have stepped up to the plate and donated to the channel. Thank you so much. You're helping to keep this channel alive, and it really, it's viewers like you who make it all worthwhile to keep bringing forth the content, to know that this is actually making sense to you. So thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to present this very specific and precise information where I feel and fear that there's a huge gaping hole in mental health, where there's not a lot of support and tools for people who have encountered this sort of brushing up with toxic individuals, malignant narcissists, psychopathic, and then the damage that they cause, and understanding them, and helping you through it and getting results. So it's not you're not in 4 years of therapy, you're not in 7 years of therapy, and you're not even getting anywhere. You're not making any emotional traction. So thank you so much. And once again, yes, there is a PayPal donate now button on the homepage here at YouTube on the About area, and it's just like a little tiny button. You can make a contribution in whatever denomination you like to help keep the channel alive. So thank you so much. And we're zooming in, and I apologize, the video cut off. We're going back into and exploring a little bit more in depth and understanding psychopathic doublespeak, and how a psychopath, an antisocial personality disorder, who, again, we're not treating or diagnosing or naming. We are discussing maybe you have experienced something like this in your life, so you can tie the two and two together. But the psychopath doublespeak is essentially meaning they, as in the book Sociopath Next Door by Dr. Martha Stout. You can pick up that book. It's a great read, a little bit difficult and intense, but I think, if you're trying to work through this in your life, I think it'll prove very valuable. But again, she cites research where the neural networks, the brainwave patterns, the areas of the brain are studied, especially as they react to emotional content, emotional words, emotional scenes. By emotional, we meaning having feeling or emotion or energy in motion, or basically meaning like love, what that means, freedom, bliss, feeling carefree, these sort of emotional words, and how they do not resonate. Their brains do not light up. They don't activate certain areas of their brain which are related to emotion in that stimulation, as do the mass of society, i.e., the rest of society, 96 to 98%, whose brains do light up. They get what love is. They do, have compassion. They do have an emotional attachment to something like a flag, or sentimental attachment to a piece of jewelry or a picture. There's this, they have an emotional meaning, significance. Now, brain waves, if they've studied, those who are psychopathic, do not light up. In fact, they stay neutral, as if you were just to say chair, table, cup. In other words, those are emotionally neutral words. So, in other words, the psychopath does not have the same reaction. They do not have the same experience. They do not have the same feeling. And then this is part of the creation of their attachment disorder. They cannot love people because they don't feel these things. They don't become loyal because they don't feel these things. They don't have empathy because they don't feel these things. They cannot have that sort of heart-to-heart relationship because they don't feel or experience these things. Likewise, what are emotional events? Emotional events might be a murder, a car accident, You know, somebody abusing a child, somebody getting hurt, you know, where you would have an emotional reaction. You'd see a car crash and be like, OMG, you know, let's see if they're okay. Or, oh my God, you know, let's help that person. Or you'd have that feeling of horror when you watch a movie and you're like, I can't watch this. This is too gross. Like you would have an emotional reaction. Those are emotional events. Now, a psychopath, they are more absorbed. They're more like, they, again, register it as an emotion or like as a objective, neutral reaction. You know, what you might feel is so horrific you can't even watch it. To a psychopath, it's just like looking at a refrigerator or a table. It's just very objective to them. So that's how they navigate through the world. So they oftentimes want people then to think according to these very deviant or perverted lines. Perverted meaning everything is either hyper aroused, hyper sexualized, so that you are then stimulated in this, what eventually will become an out of control manner, which can lead to feelings of like paranoia, feelings of delusion, feeling of, you know, like you're not really grounded, you're not really centered, you're feeling something which gives you a buzz or a thrill or what people have said, you know, an excitement in this relationship, but you're actually thinking out of line with your character. In other words, you're not meant to be thinking this way. It is a perversion, it's a distortion, it's a deviation. It is defying how your chemistry is supposed to connect to things, and it can really cause you to feel very terrified and very out of reality, like you're having almost on a psychotic episode, like a separation from reality. And this is horrifying, but the thing is that people become addicted and want to stay with a psychopath in order to figure out the enigma, to figure out the puzzle. The charm is so attractive because they then exude this magnetic feeling from their body, which is designed, they are literally magnetically charged in this sort of deterrent, deviant manner where it's taking you off of the good and into their energetic field. So that's why people feel so entranced or charged by them. I don't know what it is. They make me feel so comfortable. I just want to be around them. And then you see these masses of people who are, you know, drinking the same Kool-Aid, and they're all, you know, they can't get themselves out of this sort of, you know, euphoric, you know, psychopathic control, which they feel is euphoric, but it's actually going to take them down. It's actually going to cause you to feel out of control. It's actually going to cause you to be very, very astray from where you should be and where you need to be and where you feel yourself in life. But it's oftentimes it's exploiting, you know, that loneliness. It's exploiting, I can't do this on my own. I'm exploiting that I'm not good enough. That loneliness or that isolation. So the psychopath will really scope in on those individuals who have, you know, these feelings. Either, you know, they feel that maybe nobody has loved them, or they're a little lonely, or they haven't been in a relationship for a while, or they need a business partner, or they need, you know, someone to feel sorry for. So they'll give, you know, the sob story, and then they'll pull your emotional heartstrings where, you know, you're feeling sorry for them. They will prey upon this humanity which they do not possess. They don't, you know, they would not be able to feel sorry for you. They can't feel for you. They don't feel sympathy. They don't learn. There's a very flat emotion, and they say, you know, glib and superficial. Well, it's really lacking. It's really, you know, it's all, it is all, what is the word when it's confabulated, or there's another word that I'm trying to find here. I will find it in the video, where it's very unorganic. It'll come to me in a moment, but what is the word that I'm looking for? Well, we'll come back to that. Contrived. In other words, it's, you know, it's not put together. It is very contrived. That is the word. Con man, contrived. You can remember it like that. There we go, kids. Okay, we are back. Okay, so the emotions are contrived. They're not genuine, you know. They are very much premeditated, pre-calculated, and it's going to get you off base so that you're then distorting the natural meaning that you hold onto things. So when I say hypersexualized, they will then, because they don't have that sort of, you know, they don't feel the same towards other things. They will then place their meaning in place of it and try to get you distorted and thinking that way. And when I say hypersexualized, they will then put a sexualization to things. In other words, that will keep you aroused and attracted to them and wanting you to kiss them or hug them or have intercourse with them. So there's usually going to be that, and then they'll, you know, hold you off sort of thing, where then you're that in that hyper aroused, you know, your life becomes a full-time foreplay. You know, they hyper arouse. They will get you hyper erotic. You know, they will twist and turn the meanings. You know, for example, whoa, I almost knocked that over. So like my little thing here, you know, these will no longer become eggs. They'll become parts of the male anatomy, and going through space or whatever it is, they will twist and distort meaning. That's an example. And that then they will cause your eyes to shift onto other men or other features of clothing that have that color. And, or then, you know, it's a way that they are able to manipulate and turn their body language and take your eyes so that they will take you off of focus of the platonic, out of the truly meaningful, and then twist and distort. That's just a really simple, silly example. But those of you who have been hyper, you know, who have been taken over in this manner will know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you were to talk about this to other people who've never experienced this gaslighting, brainwashing, doublespeak, this distortion of a meaning, they will not know what you are talking about. So it is for those of you to, you know, lend a hand up that, you know, hey, we get you here. You can come through. Realize that this is a very dangerous place to stay. Dangerous meaning that it's not good for your body. It's not good for your brain chemistry. It's not going to be good for your cognitions, your thinking brain, your emotional brain. It's not right for you. Even though you might be addicted to it like a drug, like heroin, cocaine, crack, smack, metha, whatever, all the stuff, you know, the opioid, people are addicted. In other words, they're leaving life, you know, and making themselves sick. How silly is that? You know, why would you want to make yourself sick psychologically, physically, emotionally, financially sick? You know, why would you want to do this to yourself? You have to ask yourself, and, you know, this is going to become a pathology within you if you stay around these people, because this is how they maim and hurt, and they're going to leave just a whole wake of people who they've done this to. And sometimes people are not very strong, and they cannot, like, recover from this very well. Like, they become seriously PTSD, CPTSD, and they cannot, like, recover. Like, or they are so duped, they are so weak that they just want to, they would rather believe the lie. They would rather stay with this person and just stay in this manner, in that hyper arousal, out of control state where they almost, their bodies are doing things in almost a cryptic or telepathic way. In other words, they have new desires. You know, I've had people who never smoked, where all of a sudden they have a compulsion to go to a bar and smoke. You know, who are just energetically, they're repelled. The psychopath has such physical power over them that they have repelled them to leave, and they don't know why, but they will exude this repelling energy, or this energy that is causing you to look at or do different things, other which is normal or natural for you. And then, so then they're inviting in their new target. In other words, they're taking, you know, the life energy out of that prey in order to exist. So some people call it psychic vampirism. I know we've had viewers who describe it that way. But so this magnetic repulsion is then part of it. So when you are then feeding from the psychopath, in other words, when you're around them, you are then going to become connected to their energy field, and then they essentially are going to have control and power over your body and your mind. And, you know, at least sometimes people are addicted to this in a positive way. They think that this is love. They tend to say, oh, this is, you know, what a soulmate must feel like, and that's why I'm doing this. But then, you know, the paranoia and then the investigation starts, and, you know, you're really picking up on this enigma, the puzzle, the confusion, the contriving of it all. And then you're realizing that there's nothing in this relationship for you whatsoever. And then so it's like you get this poof, aha, like my mind is blown out, like my soul is blown out. Oh my God, I've just been blown into the stratosphere, and then I'm trying to land down to earth. Where the hell is earth? Like, I don't even know where my grounding, my centering is. I can't even relax into my body. So people who have encountered this, they experience that whole loop. And so you need to break the cycle. You need to stop. In most books, there's a wonderful book by Sandra Brown, and oftentimes, you know, all leaders will advise, you know, do not think like the psychopath. In other words, you might want to study, you might want to learn, that might be part of your journey, but you